You need one? You need a water? Well, there's some in the fridge. Okay. Zach.
Out for 2025, if there's anybody here who'd like to speak to the budget hearing. Nobody? Okay, we will close that hearing and move on to the regular agenda for tonight. Open up the regular meeting and need approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
I second it.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item is the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion for that.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I second it.
Been moved and seconded. All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Is there anybody here from the public like to speak to something that's not on the agenda tonight? Tina? Just state your name and your address.
Tina Rakes, Baldwin City, Kansas. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I would like to circle back on the conversation from one of the forums on renewable energy and whether or not, and I will admit I haven't followed up to see if you've posted anything or not, but I was inquisitive whether you were going to look into pursuing any of the tax credits so that, to see if it's a viable option to where it would maybe stabilize our risk if the price spikes in the marketplace. So there's that. August 26, KDHE issued a boil water advisory for Edgerton and some of the surrounding Douglas County customers. It made me recall, some of you may and may not know, I used to work for Baldwin City for quite a few years, that our water line to Lawrence is fairly old and the materials are pretty rough. It's kind of a ticking time bomb. And so I was just curious if you have a plan in place of working on it in sections, or are we reactionary, or so just because, and I bring that up again, that made me think, because there was a lot of questions and I think a lot of concerns when that boil advisory went out. And then we've been talking a lot, obviously, with the increase in electric rates and just budgeting as a whole. I know that won't be a pocket change to repair that. And then another one, a little bit on budgetary projects. If memory serves, I believe 12-ish years ago, KDOT did a Highway 56 corridor management study. And I was here at that time and, was very involved. And the Public Works Director at the time, Bill Weiniger, applied for and was successful in receiving, again, the rough numbers, 2.5 million or something in there, that I know we have to have the money up front, but then we get it in return, and the grant does not pay for inspections, which I think at that time was around a couple $100,000. So I was just curious, again, where that window is for that opportunity to fulfill those projects. Because I know there are start and end dates to them, and it would be a shame to lose that money. So that has been consuming me a little bit with expenses as we as a community have been interested in our growth and what we're doing in our city and quality of life and all the good things, and they all come with a cost. And then lastly, I just kind of put this on at the end. I know that you have on the agenda to discuss the city administrator's job description. I don't know if that's public, if there's anything that's significant that is on that would be of interest to the public. And so again, I don't know how I don't really come up and do public comment very much on these items. Do you get back at another council meeting? I don't know how all that works. So
we'll take public comment. I've written notes down,
Mhm.
and then when we have our time for council or mayor comments,
Sure.
I'll address each one of those.
Okay.
And
All right.
give an update on them.
Well, I appreciate your time very much.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Anybody else here to speak to something that's not on the agenda? Seeing none? Okay. We will move on to regular business and under old business, solar ordinance 1518. Russ, do you just kind of want to give a quick synopsis of this and then we'll open it up for public comment?
Sure. So our current city ordinance that we had in place was ordinance number 1385. And we also had another ordinance 1257, which was kind of dated back to 2010. The state legislator have put in some guidelines into statute. And our current ordinance is not in compliance with the state statute. So we went back, we worked, Jeff and myself and KMEA and their attorneys worked through it to develop an ordinance that meets all the specifications to be in compliance with the state. And that's actually what you're seeing in your packets today, as well as for the people at home that are looking at it online.
So I'm just going to add a couple things to that. For the council's knowledge, it does not change the commercial, what we're doing currently with commercial rates for the solar. For residential, they'll continue to get back the same amount of the 14.11 cents per kilowatt up until they have used up everything. So, and then anything over generated is paid back at 5 cents a kilowatt hour is what the ordinance is set up.
Which is our wholesale cost.
Correct. So with that, anybody from the public like to comment to this agenda item? Sorry, just for the people at home. So residential solar customers receive a credit of 14.11 cents a kilowatt hour.
Whatever the current
rate is, up until they zero out. And then anything produced over what they actually use is credited back to them at 5 cents a kilowatt hour. Anybody else have any comments to this agenda item? Seeing none, we'll close public comment, open up council discussion.
we talked about this in budget and finance. I think the only, and you made the comment, I assume the business parallel generation is currently 5 cents on over generating. You made the comment that wouldn't change.
So commercial doesn't get credited back for over generation. They're parallel.
Right, because they're so large a number, there'd be no way to.
Yeah, and I think their parallel generation is,
I want to say it's like 0.85.
I thought it was around 8 cents a kilowatt hour.
I know Jeff is here. I think he could speak to exactly what that figure is, but I want to say it's 0.85.
Right.
Or
So
0.0.
So this is really just affecting our net metering, our residential.
Correct.
We called net metering in the previous ordinance.
Correct.
Okay. And really the 2 points that we talked about in budget finance that we discussed was, the payback rate once you got back to zero. I think the net metering was still full retail in the old ordinance, wasn't it? No, it was just zero down to that.
Zero
right?
at that.
So we could go anywhere from full retail down to like 2 to 3 cents based on this new state statute.
Correct.
So that's the decision really. And I think what budget and finance discussion, just so you know, it's in the ordinance, but we can change it. Our thought process was, if we look at the Pratt solar and the solar that we buy from outside entities, they charge us 5 cents. So this would basically be like, they're another customer or another provider for us, and we're going to pay them the same 5 cents we would pay the other solar providers, and it would have the same impact for us. We could, put it on our grid and sell it to our citizens, or actually just produce less, whether it's buying it from Evergy or whatever. So it's that 5 cents. And the other thing we have to figure out, I don't think it's in the ordinance, or do we put it in the ordinance, about how that credit's applied?
I don't think it's necessarily it has to be zeroed out annually.
Okay.
We can once we start it,
Right.
then we can decide if we want to do it on a monthly basis, quarterly, or yearly.
Yeah, I think part of it's our billing capabilities or lack thereof may dictate which way we go there. But annually, it's got to be zero. Whether you pay it all back in one lump sum, we'd rather not write checks. That becomes difficult. So, in a form of a credit that they could just use to offset the next bill is kind of what we're looking at. I guess your thoughts on the 5 cents.
I mean, I think it seems fair if that's what we're buying it when we buy it from Pratt and any other place. I think that's a good spot.
Any other comments, or if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve ordinance 1518 as presented.
I second it.
Been moved and seconded. Julie?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Next agenda item is the RHID Resolution 2025-19. Russ, do you want to give a brief synopsis of this?
So this is the second resolution. This is actually kind of like a 3-part deal. This resolution gets them basically to where they're going to the final step, which is actually setting, a hearing, which would transpire in October. This is for, property tax, basically a property tax rebate or refund. This is for moderate to low income housing. It's basically between Eisenhower and Washington Street. There would be 4 duplexes that the applicants would be building. So 8 total units. They've done several of these projects in surrounding towns like Garnett, Ottawa, and some other places. So the applicant is here if we have any questions for them. This doesn't give them final approval. It kind of gets them to the next step. So final approval would come with the passage of the ordinance, and that would be in October.
Does the applicant have anything to add?
Resolution that you acknowledge what we're partners to do here. We applied for MIH with you. Our HID was always a part of this plan. It's what it takes to make affordable housing in this area. We've done it several times, currently doing it. Sorry, was almost late because I came from another job site. So, yeah.
So is this housing going to be rent capped?
No, they're not capped. The rules for MIH and KHITC have to do with median income. So you can't live here unless you're within 150% of the median income of the area or 50%. And those are all published on KHIT or Kansas Department of Housing Resources website. I think Baldwin's a little higher than what I'm used to dealing with. So you're probably in the 68,000 median income household range, maybe a little more than that. So 150% of that or 50% of that. I mean, let's be honest, that's most working class people in this area, in most areas. And the ones we've done have been very successful and brought working people from other communities, or in our case, states in Garnett. And same for Ottawa. There's a lot of jobs coming or already here. There's nowhere for these people to live. And this is a property type that doesn't really exist widely, if at all, in Baldwin, I'm not sure. My rental manager, I was talking to him about Baldwin and rental rates, and he went, I don't know. I've never had anything to rent in Baldwin. It's always rented. So it'll be an interesting thing to take on here. So it's a property type that doesn't exist here. They're townhomes. They're very nice. Mike and I don't build anything we wouldn't live in. So and it's a pretty nice area. Be a nice addition to that area and not let some monstrosity be at a primary corner of the town. So I think I've provided blueprints and everything else for you guys in the past. I apologize I didn't bring them with me, but certainly can get those to you.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Anybody from the public like to comment to this agenda item? Seeing none, we'll close public comment, open up council discussion.
Everything.
If there is none, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 2025-19.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next, city administrator job description. Scott and Julie, do you guys want to give a brief synopsis or explanation on this?
I'll start. Julie, you chime in. I mean, the goal here, if you remember what our consultant wanted us to do as far as the process, is to build a survey around a job description / resume or request for resume. So it's a job description you need to put out there. And we looked at what was currently available. We got suggestions from the league about what they would suggest, and kind of took that, and you should have in your packets, and probably edited down maybe 10%, added a few things, changed a few things. But it's pretty straightforward. It's kind of all encompassing. You don't want to make it too narrow. You're going to figure that out when you're talking to the applicants. So, I mean, that's really what you have in front of you is what, we propose gets sent out to request resumes. Julie, anything?
This isn't the final thing. We wanted to present it to the council tonight so that you guys could look it over and see if you want to add anything, or if you think something's doesn't need to be in there or whatever. But this is just the first working copy that we've had.
With that, anybody from public like to speak to this agenda item? Seeing none, we'll close public comment for this agenda item. Open up council discussion.
I have a question. So, under the knowledge portion of it, it says to have completed or complete the Masters of Public Administration course within 3 years. Would we take something that is like not exactly that, but is like on the same page? Is that because, I mean, if we're asking them to get that, are we or is that on them to get it, or is the city helping that person? Because I mean, I know there's other people maybe from the private side that have almost the exact same thing, but not public administration. So would we take that as the same thing? Yeah.
And Amber, you sent out another one that was called what? Do you recall?
Name.
Okay.
And then the other one is the actual master's degree. And it's 40 credit hours. The other one,
Yeah.
yes, and it's
more of a 18-hour program.
overall. Like one semester is going to be, isn't it like 5 credit hours, or I can't remember what it said. It was
might
much
be-
less.
it might
So I guess one of my question with that would be then would we honor a certificate instead of, because I mean, if they're going to be our administrator and then they're going to school for their masters, that's
So
daunting.
you zeroed right in on one of the things that we
Okay.
talked a lot. I mean, and these aren't requirements necessarily. These are, I don't think we listed them as requirements, more as what we're looking for. And obviously it's a broad spectrum. So I think it's wide open. There's a couple of ways to approach it. You could find the right person that doesn't have that. And the question is do we think it's important enough to try to make sure they get through that at some point? And the other issue, is it 2 years? Is it 3 years? What if they don't stick around the whole time? So we really need to kind of figure out, it will be based on the applicant. If everything else, is fantastic, but, we think it's important that they get that experience. It's kind of experience, but it's really education into what that role is in Kansas. Then I think it's a negotiation on what makes sense, right? And you can approach it a couple of different ways. You can, just as you would, there's a pay scale range that we publish for this role, and it's based on experience, knowledge, and that's another piece of it, right? So theoretically, we could approach it as, well, if you don't have that, it will be somewhat less than if you did, and then maybe make an incentive that when you get that, here's what we give you. And, things like that we can do to incentivize them to complete it. And, if they'd had it to start with, they'd have got that, at the beginning. So there's different ways to approach it if the council thinks that's important for them to have. But it's just another thing in all of the things they bring.
Yeah, I just don't want us to lose a bunch of applicants.
And I don't think we make it a requirement. I think preferred. You always see preferred. So we have some required and preferred skills. And I think, maybe we need to make it clearer.
I think that's a good question, Jay, though, to bring up. But we did talk about it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Maybe just at the end add is preferred. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can
or something.
Some of these
to it.
In some of these, we list them as preferred, and I would assume if you don't, then it's kind of expected that there may be required. But I think to your point, I don't think we should limit ourselves. We certainly can through the interview process if we see that those that have it are dramatically better. But until we know, I don't know why we'd limit ourselves to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a certificate that is offered also that's on the screen right now.
Yeah, I think that's more obtainable for someone than, because because if they're not a younger person that, is coming out of school and just go ahead and getting their master's, if they're, an older person that's changing careers or something, that may be a little daunting. So and I know you guys are doing everything, and thinking of everything, but I just don't want us to pigeonhole ourselves and, because degrees are great, but that doesn't always make them the right candidate. So, and we just need to figure out who the right fit is for our city and not limit it to, and I think you guys are on the same page too, so I was just curious to see if that was going to be a requirement or if that was just, like you said, preferred.
Yeah, that's the way I took it. I don't see it in there though, but well, it does basically say it's kind of required because it says if you don't have it, you're going to get it within 3 years, right? So that's what, if they've got an issue with that, then that would come out, I think, when they're talking to us, say, well, that doesn't make sense, or, but I think we've put it in here. And if you don't want to put it in there, we can remove it and just say that's preferred and just leave it at that. And then figure out, maybe an incentive program. If we think that program is valuable, I don't have a good concept of whether it is or not. I think the league does and others do have a view of it. But if we thought it was important, then we need to figure out how whoever they either have it or we figure out how we get them there.
So why don't we just spitballing? Why don't we add have completed or complete the Masters of Public Administration course or city and county management certificate within 3 years of employment?
So if I wasn't clear on that, there is more than one that they can get. There was a less than a handful of different options as well. And they can go for, over a period of time, do all 3 or 4, I can't remember.
Or just add or equivalent within 3 years of employment.
That's fine.
Yeah, equivalent covers it all.
Yeah.
Okay. Can add that. Camera.
It's it.
Did you
It's
get that?
changing in real time. Looking at them.
Okay. The main thing is, I guess for me, is really getting something approved by the council so that way we can go to the league. Because right now we're kind of at a holding pattern until something is approved by the council. So if you guys want to do it tonight, great. If not, it'll just delay.
As long as we're changing that,
We can approve it as amended. for the
Yeah.
discussion,
as long as we do the amendment, I'm okay with that.
Any other additions or anything?
that I saw.
Everything, that was my only question after when I read it couple times. So that was my only thing. Because like when they were up here talking to us, they said, sometimes it's a police chief or sometimes it's, someone that isn't in public administration or the city management role. That may be more difficult for a good candidate like that to go obtain the masters. So if we just do the certificates and then, incentivize it if, that I think that's a great idea. So
With that, I'll entertain a motion.
I approve, or let me get to it. Say it right.
You approve?
Yeah.
It's a body of 5, Jay.
That's why I don't do it.
I guess.
I don't do this.
And we're done.
It helps when you're getting heckled.
I dare you to vote no.
It's been done.
Yeah.
Where is it? I move to approve the city manager,
Administrator.
job description as amended. There we go.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. It gets easier, Jay.
That's why I don't do this part.
It doesn't.
It never does.
Okay. Next agenda item is the budget. So this is going to run a little different. We have to open up a revenue neutral hearing. Anybody can speak during that time. Then we have to close that. We'll open the budget hearing again. That'll be the time for public comment towards the city budget. We'll close that and then we'll have council discussion regarding the budget. So with that, I'll open the revenue neutral hearing portion of the agenda. Anybody here to speak to that?
You might explain.
So the revenue neutral means that the city will not accept any new money from property taxes next year. So that's what revenue neutral is. Anybody like to speak to that? No. Okay, we'll close the revenue neutral hearing. We will open up the budget hearing. So again, you can speak to anything regarding the city budget at this time, regarding the property tax mill levy. Anybody want to speak to this agenda item or this hearing? No. If not, I'll close the public comment portion for the hearing. Open up the council comment for the budget agenda item. I'll give, I guess, a little feedback. So finance committee discussed on Friday, went through all the budgetary stuff with our council, our accounting firm that we retain. The recommendation in the proposed budget is a $500,000 decrease from our current mill levy to, if you want to come up and speak, you might know the numbers a little bit better because I got a lot of papers in front of me. So.
The R&R process is complicated. You have to officially have the R&R revenue neutral rate hearing prior to the official budget hearing. So I appreciate that. According to the published notice of hearing, you bring that up. So according to the notice, the $500,000 drop would take it from 43.390 last year to 42.890 this year. And for the purposes of actual dollars, that is about $21,500 difference in what you would have adopted without that decrease. So, and our Baker Tilly's official position is to maintain your previous year mill levy, just to rebuild as much general fund balance as possible. But we always recommend that.
Any questions for Baker Tilly?
I'll just briefly for the public say that, we used a essentially 3% salary increase for public staff. We used the municipal index for basically the municipal cost index, which is somewhat different from the other inflationary indexes used, more specific to government operations for your utility funds. The budget as presented includes a couple of capital lease items, new patrol vehicle, plus I believe radios for fire, and a brush truck for fire as well. So other than that, it's pretty much straightforward what you've had the way you've budgeted in the past. There's no other significant increases besides that.
Any questions? All right, thank you. Anybody from the public like to speak to this? Yeah, I'm opening it back up to public comment. I want to hear as much as we can.
Yeah, and I don't know if I can articulate this question. So in the departments, then we won't have any negative, negative revenues in any departments. Does that make sense?
You mean shortfalls? Or
yeah,
I mean, this is the budget's built with all department heads. Baker Tilly meets individually with every single department to go through their needs, as well as the city council hears from every single department head to hear their needs. Then the budget committee discusses all that with with them, and then we'd see where we can trim back to try to get some reprieve from the increase in assessed valuation to the.
Because I just, none of us know what, the projection is to the end of the year. So maybe that's where in my head I'm just confusing because we're not quite sure what that's going to look like. So it's like, okay, so we're trying to make sure we're not going to end up in the negative. That's probably where it was coming from. More a question, I guess, of this year, which is the unknowns.
Yeah, I mean, legally, we're essentially setting our mill levy,
Yeah,
and legally, we can't go.
below.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is just for the mill levy portion. We still have sales tax revenues that we collect on. We have
Gotcha.
franchise fees from utilities we collect on that goes to the general fund. So this is only one portion of the total general fund.
Perfect. Thank you for that clarification, Casey.
And just, Tina, answer your other question. So individual department funds are mostly the utilities, and those are funded by the rates. And so part of what we do is set the rates at the end of this year based on what the department heads think it's going to cost to buy energy or buy water. And so that's where the rates get set. And that's trying to hit neutral, right? So at the end of the year. So what you do is you carry that reserve in case you missed it on the low side, and you have a reserve that you can cover it and you don't have to run negative. So that's how that, yep. Yeah.
It's hard.
It's easy
Trust
to
me.
do.
Anybody else like to speak to this agenda item? Seeing none, we'll close public comment for this agenda item. Open council discussion. Council have anything further?
I think you guys all see that. I mean, really what's in here discretionary, if you want to call it that, or the lease for equipment,
Right.
vehicles. And, I think earlier in the year we had the budget workshop and we had City Lake in there at 100,000. We've had that in there several years. But I think the conversation we had was probably not enough. We're not far enough along to even figure out where that would go this year or even next year. And we can always put it in next year if we get grants or things that don't impact the budget, to the full amount. So I can't remember, there was 5 of them. I can't remember what the other one was that didn't move forward in this, but
I'll recall. Any other council comments, discussions, questions?
So this is lowering the mill levy. So,
This is lowering the mill levy by $0.5 mil.
and then are we staying revenue neutral or no?
No, because you're still, the assessed valuation is still going up. We're just trying to counteract a portion of that assessed valuation so it doesn't increase as much on our citizens as what staying mill levy neutral would have.
Mhm.
it's very confusing. I mean, revenue neutral is you look at the revenue you generated from the assessed valuation and your mills last year, let's call it 10 million. And revenue neutral means we're staying at 10 million. And if the assessed valuation went up, which it did, 6, 7, 8%, then our mill levy had to go down. So you multiply your mill levy times your assessed valuation, you stay at 10 million. So that's what that is. So that's mill levy, or that's revenue neutral. And then mill levy neutral is we're not going to raise the mills at all. And as the assessed valuation goes up, that incremental amount funds all of our cost increases in our general fund, police, fire, and all those things, public safety. So that's fundamentally the difference.
And our city mills also include 4.2 mills from the library.
That passes through.
That passes through to the citizens. So the library board voted to stay mill levy neutral. So still 4.2 mills on that gets included in the city's mill levy.
So then with us going down with the mill levy and then not staying revenue neutral, what's that? Is that doing anything? Is that raising the taxes at all?
The assessed valuation raises the taxes, but the $0.5 that you're cutting from the mill levy takes a chunk out of that raise. So there is an increase, but the lowering the mill levy by $0.5 makes it less of an increase.
Man,
So, for example, let's say your house is $100,000, and
I wish.
yeah, but let's say it was, and your mill levy was 10 mills. Last year, when your house was valued at $100,000, you would have paid 11,500 or 11,500 in taxes, because residential property in Kansas is 11.5%. So let's say your house value goes up 10%. We would only be able to charge, or not charge, but the city would only be able to levy $11,050 against you, the same amount as last year. Even though your valuation has gone up, you'll be charged at a lower rate to get to the same dollar amount of tax you paid. So in other words, the city is not able to capture the market value growth in properties without having that separate hearing for a neutral rate. And overall, it would have been about a 4.5. It would have been an enforced 4.5 mil reduction citywide in order to comply with the R&R rate, which would have been just under 39 mils. So if you comply with that, you're going to have to, just to get, and again, all you're doing is able to generate the same dollar amount of tax you generated the prior year. So you're not able to take advantage of the growth and maintain a flat levy. The good thing is that you still have valuation growth. You don't want to be in the opposite position.
Any other comments, questions, concerns? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
I just want to be clear on what we're passing. It's in this form does reflect the $0.5 mil decrease. I don't see where that's. There it is. Do we publish the new mill rate in the budget that we pass? Yeah, I don't see it on the.
Certificate that we have has a 38.943. That's the R&R rate. Pardon me.
Yeah, that's the one we just talked about. I don't see where maybe it doesn't in what we publish.
Let me. Yeah, it won't. What we're looking at here is the total. The top line for the the total 2347,740. We need to make sure that is with the.
Yeah, so basically the math, then it'd be the assessed valuation for the city, and you get your mill rate.
2347,740. Yeah. So this. Can you scroll down just a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is for a mill levy of 42.890, which is $0.5 mil decrease from last year. Because you're looking at the total budget amount, which is that.
It's right here.
That's 38.
Amount of ad valorem tax, which is 2347,740. And that's.
Yeah, I see the total. 2.347 million, right?
That's a 42.890 mill levy.
Okay, it just doesn't say that anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't say it on the.
But if you do the assessed valuation, which is published,
so the notice
do
that
the math,
published,
we get the 42 point.
I'm looking at the notice you published right now for 42.890, and it's got that same amount of property tax. Okay. So we're good.
Right. Thanks.
And this is the only thing that needs passed per the law? Yeah. Okay.
Declining the.
Where's the resolutions?
You have 2025-20 and then
Look at it.
21. Okay. These two.
Okay. We have three things that have to be approved.
Correct. And this would, okay.
I would recommend doing both.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least they are.
That's 2025-20. Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve resolution number 2025-20.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Jay? Oh, I started the wrong way. Jay?
Nay.
Susan?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1. Next, resolution 2025-21. Approving the city budget.
I move we approve resolution number 2025-21.
Second it.
Moved and seconded. Julie?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Good with that, Matt? Okay. Next is the Communication Policy Committee appointment. So I had quite a few individuals reach out to me or stop me or discuss with me after the city hearings or city meetings, town halls. There you go. Thanks, Julie. I know there's one gentleman, if he's watching tonight, that stopped me, but I did not get his name. So if he wants to reach out to me, I'd be happy to discuss with him. But I captured everybody else. So Susan has volunteered to chair the committee. Is there another council member that is willing to sit on this communications committee? Don't all jump up at once.
I'd be happy to do it. I think it's going to be very interesting. I mean,
Okay. So then the committee, I would propose,
you wanted to.
I'm not going to.
I would propose appointing is Susan Pitts, Scott Lorton, Andrew Markley, Gwen Fogarty, Matt Beck, Rachel Moore, Leanne Bathke, Emma Bailey, and then city employees Russ Harding and Lynn Meter onto that committee. Any council comment to this agenda item? Seeing none, closing.
The only thing I would say, I think Susan, you ought to lead it. Just for.
So Susan's chair, Scott is co-chair.
I don't know. Let's ask her. Does that work for you? Okay. Thank you. Because I can see us going, well, who's going to set up the meeting? It's like, you got to have somebody leading.
So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move to let me see where it is, the Communication Policy Committee appointments that were made.
Been moved. Is there a second?
I second it.
Moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next, council committee reports, budget and finance, Scott.
Yeah. I mean,
You just heard it all.
yeah. I mean, it's prepping for the solar ordinance we all voted on, and then also budget. So that was what our time was spent on. I don't think we need a meeting.
No.
Friday. So the next regularly scheduled meeting would be on the Friday the 18th or 19th. Sorry, Friday the 19th, 7:30 a.m. Second floor, City Hall.
All right. Community development, Corey.
Yep, we have not met. Our next meeting is the 22nd, second floor, City Hall, 4:00.
All right. Public safety, Susan.
We have not met. Our next meeting is scheduled for September 9th at 4:00. Right now, I don't think we have any agenda items, but I'll send out an email and see if anybody else has anything.
All right. Public works, Julie.
We did not meet because of me being out of town. So our next meeting is going to be September 11th at 9:00. And we'll be meeting at the Public Works Building.
Strategic planning, Scott.
We have not met and nothing currently on the calendar.
Any staff comments?
The only comment I have is that the Brick Street project is actually starting at 8th and High. They mobilized today, and so that project will be lasting probably anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks for completion. So that'll be perfect in time for the Maple Leaf Festival. So that's all. That's the only comments I have.
Any council comments? So just to address some of the public comment today. So the renewable energy that the city was looking into with the federal government removing their incentives, it did not become financially feasible to for us to do the solar plan that we had wanted to do of the 2 to 3 megawatts, because a lot of that cost relied on the tax credits. So once that was removed by the end of this year, there's no way to get that level of project started and completed by the end of this year. So that's kind of on hold indefinitely until some sort of program comes back to where we can make it financially feasible for the cost to our citizens. The water line to Lawrence. That is something we continue to discuss. I have reached out to Congressman Smith's office. They are currently taking a look at any federal funding available to assist us. The preliminary numbers given by our staff was around $15 million to replace that entire line. So we're seeing right now, I'm waiting for Congressman Smith's local representative to get back with me to see what type of federal funding may be available to assist small communities to gain funding for that type of.
I might jump in here. I want Tina to know that I'm the chair of the Public Works Committee, and we talk about this constantly, and we've talked about it for years and years. And yeah, so we don't have 15 million, but our view is we're going to have to do it. And we don't want to do it on a has to be done kind of journey. So I just wanted to let you know that.
The final one, Highway 56 corridor project. That is currently underway. Well, we had to resubmit to the state because they had initially approved a $1.5 million up to $1.5 million. Is that correct, Russ?
They had approved up to 1.675 million. Back in June, we sent a letter to them requesting up to the maximum level of 2 million. Their in-house they approved it. Now it's with their council. We're waiting on getting back final approval letter saying that we get the true 2 million for it. The projected cost of the project is anywhere from 2.4 million to 2.5 million. Yes, we would have to short-term bond that to have the money in the bank, but they will reimburse us at certain percentages of completion throughout the project.
So we are currently working with our bond counsel to figure out the bonding mechanism for that. So, okay. All right. Do we need an executive session today? How long? For what purpose?
Address some personnel issues and to have some attorney.
Okay. So I entertain a motion for executive session for 30 minutes for non-elected personnel and attorney-client privilege. Is that correct, Shay?
Did you say 30 or 15?
30.
No, what did I say?
Yeah.
I said 15.
That's what I thought I heard you say.
Okay, let's go to 8:15. We'll split the difference.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion. We make that motion and go to 8:15.
Okay.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Did we talk about who all's going in?
Oh, with
You're supposed to do this part.
Council, mayor,
City
administrator.
attorney, city administrator,
acting
city administrator,
council, and mayor.
council and mayor. Okay.
Yep.
It's been moved.
CJ.
Seconded.
It doesn't get easier.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Julie did.
Julie.
Nice. Oh, you fan.
and entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Who moved?
Julie moved. I seconded.
Okay.
I forgot.
Shiloh moved and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. We are adjourned.